Hello, movie patient, and welcome to Film Therapy. I am Brienne, also known as Miss Movies, also known as your film therapist. I am not a real therapist, but I play one on the internet just for this show. And as with every session of film therapy, I have a guest patient, and my guest patient today is Nick Clark. Although, would you prefer to be Nicholas Clark?
Yeah, I suppose Nicholas works. Yeah, I'm trying to Nicholas
You're trying to
Daily Clark
rebrand?
myself. I'm trying to brand myself
Okay. Because what are you
consistently.
on IMDb?
Nicholas Daily Clark.
Okay.
Yes,
So on across all medias,
but
although you
it
put
was a
three A's in your Clark
I
for
do on
Twitter.
Twitter. It's three A's. I think I also own a Twitter handle that is just Nick Daily. It's very look. It was hard. The decision to be Nicholas professionally was wrought with sort of peril because initially the only person who ever calls me Nicholas is like my mom when I'm in trouble.
Okay.
So I would like casting directors would say like, Nicholas, you're up, and I would just autonomically kind of like feel like something like I'd done something wrong,
Right.
just right out of the gate,
Hmm.
which is not a great sort of place to be when you're starting an
When you're
audition
trying to be
scenario.
an actor
But I've
and
gotten
be
used to it.
serious.
So
Okay.
now on sets and in audition lobbies, people say Nicholas, and I go like, yeah, what's up? And it's not a
Okay.
problem anymore.
All right. So
How's that for
rebranding.
therapy?
Wow. I like it.
Yeah.
If you've never joined us, here's how film therapy works. I'm going to ask Nicholas three questions. What's a film that inspires you? What is a film or a scene from a film that triggers a memory for you? Perhaps it's painful, maybe it's happy. And what is a film that helps you through difficult times? So the same three questions every single time for film therapy until I decide to change them up. And I haven't decided that yet.
I
So
mean, they're pretty good. They're solid questions.
yeah. Before we get into those questions, though, let's get to know you a little bit more because I'm
Okay.
sure the audience is like, who is this person?
Yeah, they
Right?
have no reason to know who I am.
Yeah. So who are you? How do we know each other? What's all
We know
good?
each other
Yes.
from way back in the USC days.
Yes. USC.
Um, we
We are
we
Trojans.
were Trojans. We were theater students.
We had some
Um,
theater classes
we had some
together.
theater classes together, and yeah, I mean that's pretty much the shake of it. I feel like it's been a long time.
I think it's like 15,
I think it's
16
been
years.
since then.
Yeah.
Like literally, we've had some online interactions.
Mm-hmm.
The occasional liking of one another's tweets and what have you.
Right.
Your life has evolved. You have children now and everything, right?
Yes.
That's like a whole. You have a family.
I have a family. I do some stuff
That's
online, like stupid stuff online.
yeah.
I saw something you did online recently that I appreciated. Oh, maybe it's not recently. It's probably like 5 years ago now because I think of things recently that happened 5 years ago,
Right.
which was Elf on the Shelf. You did an Elf on the Shelf
Oh yeah,
video
yeah, yeah, yeah. That
where it's
was
like Elf on the Shelf is possessed
yes. It
or
was a
something.
creepy elf on the shelf who was possessed and it murdered me.
Well, don't spoil it.
Yeah, that's a spoiler. You're right. I just blew it. Sorry. Don't bother watching. Yeah, that was for Cinefix. I think that was
Okay.
a while ago. Yeah.
Hmm.
That was probably about 5 years ago.
Hmm.
So,
That's
but
crazy to
yeah,
me.
it is. It is crazy.
But what do you do like daily? What's your
So
thing?
I do a lot of things. I mean, I'm an actor and I'm a writer. I had a few staff jobs last year doing some writing on a show called Con Man, which is a digital series. Produced by and starring Alan Tudyk and Nathan Fillion.
Nice.
And that was a lot of fun. We wrote on the second season of that, which I think can still be seen at Comic Con HQ, which was like Comic Con's sort of streaming service that
Right.
they had a proprietary kind of agreement with Comic Con or with ConMan to stream exclusively on that. It might widen out at some point. I'm not really sure. First season was a Vimeo release, um, and then I've gotten into I've more recently I've gotten into fabrication like a little bit. So I've made some like costume pieces. I made a cardboard robot. Like my Twitter handle right now is like me is like a big robot in
Uh-huh.
profile, and
Oh, so that's really you.
that's me inside of a cardboard suit that I made.
Whoa. That's not like just a photo you found
No,
online.
that's a picture of me that my friend Dave Schweb, a very talented photographer, took. Uh, uh, and uh, and yeah, it was great. Like we did a whole photo shoot, and that was just one of this sort of accidental shot. As I was holding this globe, and I was about to turn to camera and be like, "Hey, should we take a picture of someone I'm holding the globe?" And he like happened to capture this one profile pic that I think is just very evocative, and I think it's really a cool photograph.
So would you
Um,
say you've gotten into cosplay then?
it's I'm
Is
not
that
I can't say I'm
okay?
getting into cosplay because I haven't like graduated to like going to conventions or anything like that.
Hmm.
But I'm interested in sort of opening up that the door to that world a little bit. I've made some costume pieces for friends' shows. I do a lot of improv out of Improv Theater on Vermont. Or Improv Studio on Vermont, which is a part of the Improv Theater's improv school. And so a friend of mine, Sarah, was in a show, like an improvised Dungeons and Dragons show, and her character was like a half orc something, and so I made her some costume pieces. And yeah, I've gotten really into it. The cardboard robot started as just like it was like an election day nerve agent where I was just like, it was last year, it was election day. I voted and I was like nervous waiting for the returns to come in.
Mm-hmm.
And I started like tinkering around with an Amazon box that I had, and then kind of ended up making a mask out of it, and then ended up making like an arm. And then my buddy Patrick had Patrick Adams
Hey, Patrick
had a wedding
from Suits, guys.
but he had a wedding in Ojai, and there was a talent show portion of the wedding. And I was like, oh, if I can finish
Oh
this
my
robot
gosh,
suit
that's amazing.
in time for the talent show, I'll wear it, and it'll be this weird robot at the wedding, which I did.
Oh my! I gotta
so
see photos of
There are
this.
some really cool photos of
Mhm.
of like me dancing with Troy as the robot. I snuck it into the reception as well on the next night, and I made a surprise appearance as the robot.
Of course, you would have a talent show. Of
It
course,
was great.
that makes so much sense.
And there's a lot of talented people in that friend
Yes.
circle. A lot of, and I think the robot was a nice sort of bit of punctuation. There was a lot of like very heartfelt people, like wrote songs and they
Mhm.
sung them for Passion Troyan, and it was very beautiful. And then I just kind of came out as the robot and like danced to a "They Might Be Giants" song, and like
Mhm, mhm.
like shot at the
Nicholas
crowd.
is very tall, guys.
Very tall,
Very
yeah.
tall.
So it's a big robot. The robot's
Mhm.
like fully 6'8" probably, because it adds a little
Mhm.
bit of height to my already whatever I am.
That is pretty
So,
good. So good song choice.
yeah.
We have some questions
Oh.
in the waiting room. First of all, Clint says Con Man is so good, and someone wants to know: is there a second season?
There is a second season. That's actually the one that I worked on. The second season, I like I said, I think is available on Comic Con HQ. So you have to get a membership to Comic Con HQ or sign up for a trial membership to Comic Con HQ. Truth be told, I haven't done any of this since the show was released, which was the second season was released a while ago. whatever that means. I'm trying to remember. I think maybe April.
5 years ago.
It was definitely
Oh,
this year, but it was
okay.
so as far as I know, the show is still available to stream through that site
Okay.
on Comic Con, and you can follow you find Conman on Twitter or find Alan on Twitter, or PJ Harzma is another guy. He's one of the producers. He's very active with promotions and stuff on the Twitters, and you can figure out where to watch it. But Comic Con HQ is the streaming platform that I know it to be on.
Very good.
Yeah.
One last question before we get into our real questions on the show. Why aren't you on *Halt and Catch Fire*?
I don't know. We have to talk to Chris Campbell about that. We have to talk to Chris about that. Chris, why wasn't I on *Halt and Catch Fire*? What happened, man?
So Chris is someone we went to school with, and he's the showrunner of *Halt and Catch Fire*, which means he should be putting
he had
everyone
all
that
the
was
power.
in theater school like in this show.
Greenberg got on *Halt and Catch Fire*, which was great. He had an awesome little arc playing the creepy guy, the neighbor with the mustache. They kind of in season. I think he did a couple seasons on it. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe Atlanta's just too hot for me.
I guess.
Maybe
Who knows?
Plus, I have warrants out for my arrest in Atlanta, so I can't go there.
Okay. All right.
I shouldn't have said that on the internet.
Gotta be here. That's it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get into our first question,
Okay.
our first official question, which is: what is a film that inspires you?
For fear of being almost cliche, I feel like a lot of your guests probably say. I don't know if a lot of you guys say.
Is it going to be Rocky?
No, it wasn't going to be
Okay,
Rocky.
let
I
me
was going to
guess.
say the Iron Giant.
Oh no, I don't know if anyone said that. Well, maybe Hector.
I feel like someone said the Iron Giant because
Maybe
I
one
find
person.
I think
Okay.
it's for a lot of reasons. I find it inspirational. So it's just like the heart swells that you get at the end of that film as Vin Diesel. It's not. It was always associated like too closely with Vin Diesel. He does great work in that movie. He's very empathetic giant. But yeah, as he's like sort of going off and sacrificing himself, and then the little like eat like hand thing going. That's just sort of generally inspirational. I've always liked Brad Bird. I think animation is always kind of inspirational because of how incredibly stupid it is as a means of telling a story. It's like so time consuming. I think an animator would be the first to admit this. They'll be like, this is an incredibly dumb way to decide to make a movie, because it's like you spend so much time, particularly like stop animation. I got to go to Leica Studios to do a little work for them.
Leica's insane.
They're insane,
Love their
but
stuff.
the head animator got like took us around like all of this set for Kubo and the Two Strings. They were like mid production on Kubo, and I got to see like all the sets like while they were, and he would show us little sequences, and every time it was just like, yeah. So that 9-second clip you just saw, we've been working on it for the
3
last
months.
like exactly like 160 days, or and he would just be like, yeah, it's the dumbest. He loves his job, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but it was just like anyway. So I think animation is always inspiring because of the patience and diligence it takes. And then as a guy who's interested increasingly in making stuff, I've always like junkyards, like the character, the Christian Slater character. I don't even think it is
It's
Christian
not
Slater, but he
Hogarth.
just looks like Christian Slater.
Oh, the one that's played by Harry Connick Jr.?
That's the one, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why
I
I
don't
always
remember
call
what
him
his
in my
name
head. He's always
is.
the Christian Slater character. It's
But
what
it's
is his
played by
name?
Harry Connick Jr.
But yeah, he's like a weird, like he's like a junk artist, right? Like he's a
Mhm.
little bit like me. He's like a cardboard artist. He makes, like cool things out of junk in his junkyard, and I think that's awesome. And I think more people should do that, and it should be celebrated.
I wonder, for some reason, this came into my mind. Is Big Hero 6 the Iron Giant of this generation?
You know what is embarrassing? I've never seen Big Hero 6.
Okay. I don't know if that's necessarily embarrassing because I don't think you have kids,
I don't have
right?
kids,
Okay,
but
that's probably why.
I watch a lot of animated
Animation.
films, but I missed Big Hero 6, and I heard good things.
Because I feel like thinking about it just in parallel and, sacrificing yourself and stuff like that, I was like, those are kind of similar themes to Big Hero
Well,
6.
spoiler
I
alert.
wonder,
Great.
well, not really, though. Like, it is, but it's not because it's hard to say what the ending really is. So, yeah, I just feel
Well,
like
now
there's
I've got to
similar
watch it. I have so
themes.
many questions.
Okay. I mean, the Iron Giant's definitely more serious. Like there's a lot of comedy in Big Hero 6.
Yeah, although the Iron Giant's got its moments too,
Hmm.
of funniness.
So you like what's inspiring to you is first of all just the robot in general
Yeah,
and the guy that's able to create things.
I think so. Yeah, those the story. I think if you've seen the movie, is inspiring in so much as it is about loyalty and friendship and prejudice and all sorts of wonderful things. It's like a nice period piece too. It's like set during the Cold War, which is like it's like cool
Hmm.
to see animated stories kind of take place in these dark moments in history. Um, there's a lot of real high stakes. So yeah, the story I find inspirational, and then I think within it are a lot of sort of inspirational characters and elements that are just kind of near and dear to my heart.
Would you say that the Iron Giant is an alien? Would you call him an alien?
Would I call him an alien? I mean, I guess maybe, kind of.
Would you call him Superman? Like I know he calls himself Superman, but is this the
Right.
best Superman movie ever
Oh, is
made?
this the best like superhero movie? Oh man, I don't know. I don't think of it as like that. I think of it more as like it's like a boy and his dog movie. It's like a
Okay.
little boy and his loss and his like his pet is
My
misunderstood.
dog Skip.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
but it just happens to be that the dog is a hulking 5-story robot in this situation, but just as sweet, with just as lovable puppy dog eyes.
I kind of wish that like Transformers went the way of Iron Giant and like was that,
Incredibles is
but
probably
it's
the
not.
best superhero movie. I agree with
It's
Will McLean here.
yes, thank you, Will. I also
Perfect.
agree. Star Drew also mentioned the Incredibles as well. Um, let's get into our second question,
Okay.
which is what is a film or a scene from a film that triggers a memory for you? Perhaps it's painful, maybe it's happy.
Yeah, I don't think I wasn't gonna. I was trying to find one that went the painful route, and I couldn't. Although I would say that it's possible when we get into the third question. I think we'll tick off some of those boxes in terms
Okay.
of the pathos that you want to
All right.
elicit from me.
Great.
But the thing that came to mind, the thing that came to mind when I first read this question was in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Seen it. Love
Just
it. Hmm.
in general, a lot of fond memories because that was just like my family go-to Christmas movie. We would watch that movie on Christmas Eve.
Hmm.
We would if we really felt like we had it in us, we'd maybe watch It's a Wonderful Life also. And then on Christmas Day, we would like flip on we would initially watch Christmas Story,
Hmm.
and then now you can just turn on what is it, TBS? I think that just plays it on a marathon
Yeah.
loop all
So just leave it in the
basically week long.
background.
Yeah. But Christmas Vacation was like one of my favorites for a couple reasons. One, it was probably the like bluest movie that I was allowed to see as a kid. Like
What does that mean?
did the closest to like rated R. It's not
Okay.
rated R. It's like
Got it.
PG. It's like I think it's PG. And so my parents are pretty strict with me with regards to like films. Like I didn't get to see rated R movies until I was like well into high school, like almost almost of the age that they say this is when you're literally allowed to
Yeah.
watch rated R movies.
Mine were the same. Very close.
And it was totally dumb because I watched all of the movies. I just watched them at friends' houses. I just like went over to my buddy Bill's house and we watched Terminator and all that stuff.
Sure.
But my parents were always more strict about that stuff than most of my other friends. But this movie, even though there's some swearing in it, and there's some sex in it, and that's kind of the scene that I'm going to talk about in a minute, is like pretty tame. But it was still like felt like I was getting away with one because like there was an Chevy Chase got like a bit of an edge, sort of, and I don't know, he says shit. Am I allowed to swear in this?
Yeah,
it's the internet.
You
Okay,
already
cool.
did.
Great. Yeah, I guess I did. Anyway, so that's the
they
movie.
say shit in The Sandlot, and that's a PG
I know,
movie.
they say, well, and
like
also,
all the time. And I was like, my kids are really like,
so,
oh well.
And and the rating system also changed at a certain point. I don't remember when it was, but like we rented as a family. We had so Christmas Vacation was like a family go-to family movie that we all watched all the time, and then we rented Vacation, the first one, in which there's like actual nudity. Because you used to be able to do that in PG.
Right.
And I remember my parents turning it off. It was like there's a scene in like a burlesque club or something, and there's like it's not even really
that's
nudity.
European Vacation.
Maybe it's European. That's what I'm thinking of.
But even no, actual Vacation. I don't know. Maybe they re-rated Vacation after, but it was PG at one time. I swear.
Yeah.
I swear it was, and then was redone. But yeah, because Red Dawn was the first PG-13 movie to be released because people had an uproar over Gremlins as well as Temple of Doom. So then they were like, "All right, we'll just
season
create
2
a new
now
one."
available on iTunes. Thanks, Clint.
Yeah,
I suppose I should have known
that. Well, now you know, and knowing is half the battle. So, anyways, getting back to Christmas Vacation.
So the specific memory, I didn't even know if this is a memory, but it's something. So there's a scene in Christmas Vacation where there's a young lady who works at the department store that Clark Griswold is sort of flirting with, and then at one point he's kind of pressed up against the glass at night. It's Christmas Eve. He's like looking out into what he hopes become his pool that he's built. The whole movie's about him planning on using. Not about this, but running through the film is this plot about him wanting to use his company bonus, his Christmas bonus, to build a pool for the family, so that everybody can hang out by the pool and swim.
Yeah.
And so he's having this fantasy, this daydream at night, where it's like the pool and everyone's jumping and laughing and having a frivolous good time, and then Uncle Eddie shows up, and it's kind of like, which I love also because it's like in his dream, he's like, no, I don't want that part of my fantasy. Like his brain is hijacking his own fantasy. And then, so at some point, like all of that's wiped away, and you see on the diving board the woman from the department store. And she's got this red one-piece bikini or one-piece swimsuit on, and she's like does this slow seduction. He's all just acting surprised, as if he's like, "Wait, what?" Like in his own sexual fantasy, which is funny. And she like takes off all her clothes, and there's some side boob, which was like my first exposure to side boob as a kid. Okay. Like when I was like Very 9, exciting. I was just like, what's that? That's amazing. And we were allowed to watch it still. And then she dives off the thing into the water, and then she starts coming up out of the water, and the camera kind of pans down and it cuts, right? It cuts before you can sort of see anything.
Right.
But as a child, I would like sneak the cassette into the VHS player when parents are around, just to watch it. But then also I'm like a kid. I'm a very young kid, right? I'm just like prepubescent, sort of like just figuring out these feelings or whatever. And but I clearly hadn't figured out technology. So I would play that scene like up until she came here and then pause. And then I would like literally get up to the television and try to look down into to see if like there was an angle where you could see anything.
That is amazing.
And yeah, so that's the memory that kind of was triggered.
At what point did you realize this is not how technology
I'm still not convinced. I think if I get the right prints, like maybe a DVD or like a high def version.
Well, now with those like photos that you can take that where you can like look around
Yeah, like a
everything. It's like,
gyroscopic.
whoa.
I'm not. I mean, the internet, you get to work out there and find the one with the aspect ratio that's just wide enough to catch like the top of an areola.
So you think
You'll
that
make
you
the
were
night.
maybe like 10
I was
at the
probably like
time?
10, 11,
Okay.
something like that. 9, 10, 11 in there.
Hmm.
I don't. I mean, or 17, 18. I don't know. Let's not quibble over numbers. These things. It's
I was
not
like, I
important.
don't remember when that came out. I want to say like 89 or something when that released in theaters,
Gosh, I don't know.
which would kind of be close
Yeah,
to
that
being
would.
around like 10, 11,
Hmm.
like maybe middle school, 5th grade, middle school,
Yeah,
somewhere
it's
around
about
there.
the time that side boob starts to really matter to a little boy.
That's hilarious. I love that you went up to the screen
Yeah,
hoping
not
hoping
just
that
once
something would
either. I
happen.
didn't do it like one time and then
Hmm.
realize like, oh, you can't. That doesn't work like that. I tried it
Just kept going back.
many times.
Mm. I don't even know who that actress is.
I don't either. Isn't that a shame?
It is a
She was
shame.
like, I was like in love with her, and I couldn't tell
Like
you her
this is the
name.
only movie that we can see you in
Yeah,
that I remember.
yeah.
Anyways. All right, let's move on to our final question,
All right.
which is what is a film that helps you through difficult times?
So this is it's a kind of weird answer. It's not. It doesn't exactly satisfy that question because I don't really have that relationship with movies. I don't think I don't- like
Mhm.
I don't have it with music either. A lot of people, it's like, oh, you're feeling kind of blue and there's this album and it like always makes you feel better, and I don't really do that. If anything, I usually lean into that, and maybe this is helps through difficult times, right? But like if I'm
Mhm.
feeling sad, I'll put on like, Alice by Tom Waits or something. I'll put on like some song that makes me feel sadder, and then I'll
Sure.
just kind
I
of
mean, there's
live in
that
it
too.
for a while, right? And I guess that, like I said, I think that probably is helping you through difficult times, just
Mhm.
in its way. But so similarly, there is one movie that if I feel like I need a good cry, right? If I feel like I should have a little cry here, um, for whatever reason, there's one movie that will consistently, and I've tested this enough times to think it's just never going to change. I will like surprise myself with how hard I am just like ugly crying by the end of the film, and it may be an unexpected film. If you've seen it, maybe not. And maybe if you've seen it, you have. If you've seen it marketed, it will be very surprising. If you've only seen the marketing for this film, didn't watch it because why
Uh-huh.
would you? Uh, uh, and have not seen the film, you have any idea what I'm talking about. But the film is Warrior with Tom
Oh yeah.
Hardy and Joel
Love
Edgerton.
Warrior.
But many people do. People have sort of
Mhm.
discovered it. But I remember when it was really, I remember seeing it like 2012 or something, like promo material for it. It was like, that looks dumb. Nope, don't bother. And I liked Tom Hardy at the time. I was just like, Tom Hardy's decided to start making bad movies, I guess. Too bad. He looked like he had a promising career ahead of him. And I just never watched it. I turned it
Uh-huh.
on Netflix one night when I was just home alone, and I
Yeah.
thought my cry was gonna. There's a scene that Nick Nolte does where he's like outside of his sort of estranged son's house, and he plays this recovering alcoholic, and there's just cracked vulnerability to him in this scene where he's like, oh, my granddaughters, and it's like that makes me cry. Right? Like that's like a good like. I watched that scene and I'm like, oh man, thanks Nolte. Like I needed that. That was awesome. But then by the end of the film, like at the very end, when the sort of the final fight is the final moment, I don't want to sort of spoil anything if you haven't seen it because I can't recommend it highly enough. It's like probably one of my like, sort of top 10 movies at this point. It's not probably, it's definite. I was going to say top
Okay.
5 and I kind of hedged. But
Just in case. Give it a little buffer.
yeah, but at the end, like I am just always just chest heaving, snotty, like sobbing cries. There's one shot where Tom Hardy's this kind of wounded pit bull, like still in the ring. It's just like, and the score is there's a very evocative song at the very
Mhm.
end that is very well done. It's just incredibly well directed, an incredibly well acted film. I think there's some logic holes that are like wide open if you let them bother you, but I
Mm.
just sort of don't. And yeah, that's like it's like my go-to, just like I want to just let it out tonight. I'll put on Warrior and I am a
It's a
mess.
catharsis.
I'm a puddle at the end of that
Mm.
movie every time. And I'll
'Cause
show it to
sometimes you
people.
need a good cry.
Oh
You
yeah.
really do.
You
Well,
re-
if you show it to people, are you like, oh, I'm gonna cry in front
no,
of
I
them?
do. I
Like
show it
what?
to people. Well, I show it to people who I am okay with that. Like
Okay.
I'm not like who I'm comfortable sort of crying in front of because I know I'm going to.
Mhm.
But I've shown enough people who are just like, I'm like, you were gonna, yeah, you're right. It has no business being that emotional. Um, and it's like an MMA movie. You would never think it.
Mhm.
But and I've had a fair. No one has been like, nah, that was dumb, or like, that was okay. I've had several people who were just like a room full of us, like chest heaving sobs at the end, at the moment that I'm always crying. Um, and then most people are like, yeah, it's good. My, I think it has to. I think like I have.
Yeah. I
Most people
liked
are
it. I
like, yeah,
liked
that's
it.
good. I not every. I can't say that like everybody that I have ever shown it to like has my exact
Right.
reactions to it, because mine are visceral and weird.
I can't remember the last time I ugly cried at a movie aside from the documentary Dear Zachary, which will I
Don't know.
never will watch again because I probably will I cried many times throughout that documentary and I was like, this is I need to I need to shut this off. But
I don't think I know it.
it's really sad. It's about here so I'll give you the Cliff's notes. It's The documentary is a letter to it's like a letter to a son about his father. So the father was murdered.
Mm.
And this is kind of like um his father's best friend is putting together this movie to memorialize his best friend.
Oh, okay.
But it's also a like you actually end up going through like the trial and the person that murdered him and who that person is and what happens with the baby because he wasn't born at the time that
Mm.
his father was killed. And then it goes through like interviewing with the parents of the son that was murdered, and it's just and then there's other shit that goes down. Other people die in this movie,
Oh,
and
wow.
it's just like, oh my, like this real life happened. Other people died. Like
It's Canadian.
it's
Is
crazy.
someone said
Oh
someone
no, there is a part that takes place. The trial is in Canada for the murderer because the
Ah,
murderer fled to Canada and
oh, I see. And they
they
couldn't
wouldn't
extradite him.
yeah. So that's what happened.
Interesting.
That's
I'll
a
have to
part of
check
it.
that out.
It's insane. It's insane. It's sad. I've cried many times. You think the movie's about one thing, and then at the end, the director flips it, and you're like, "Shit! Why did you do that?
Oh,
Like,
man.
why?" So that's my ugly cry.
I'm in. I'll
Is
check
that
it out.
movie?
I need to
I
get.
don't know if you want to ugly cry,
I
but
do. It's probably about that time. It's about that time to ugly cry. It's I don't. I can't remember.
sure.
I haven't seen that. I haven't watched Warrior in a while. I hadn't thought about it
Hmm.
since these questions popped up, and I was like, nah, I'm gonna want to watch that again soon too. But no, I think look, if I were doing it right, you would
Hmm.
watch. I don't mean me. I mean people in general. Like if you should probably ugly cry like once a week, right? If you really want to
I
be,
mean, yeah,
if you really
to
want to
let
like
it out.
be processing your emotions and not like be afraid of, because it's never that you ugly cry and then eventually you stop ugly crying and you're
Hmm.
done, and then you have room for other stuff. But yeah, it's yeah, we should all probably go.
Yeah,
Everybody, just
sometimes
turn
you
off your internet
need
and go have a good
something
ugly
that
cry.
will get
So
you
yeah, you
there.
need a trigger. Sometimes you
Hmm.
just start weeping uncontrollably in the middle of your kitchen, right? Like that happens. That
I
happens
mean,
that
that
happens to
does
everybody.
happen to me. I will say.
And other times you need a little push over the edge, right?
Hmm.
You need a little assist. There's nothing wrong with that.
And Warrior would definitely be one of those
Warrior
movies. I
is
remember
my
liking it a lot, and I've only seen it once, so I will definitely
yeah.
revisit it.
There's someone posited a theory to me that it's like it has to, like I have a brother, I have one older brother, and there's a lot of brother stuff in the movie, obviously. And my brother and I have nothing like the relationship that these two brothers have in the movie. But someone was like, oh yeah, I think people, like if you have, it may just be maybe siblings in
Hmm.
general, but that there's something there that maybe is extra triggery or whatever.
Sure.
And then someone else said, was like, well, no, you're just like that Tom Hardy character because you just have no idea how to do anything. You're just like chipping at an ice block of your feelings all the time, and it's like,
How
and
does
so
that
you
make you
relate.
feel?
Accurately
You're like, come
assessed.
on, why am I not Joel Edgerton?
Yeah,
Like, I should be the teacher.
yeah, I should be the happy, like well-adjusted guy with the good family. But no,
Hmm.
I guess I'm maybe more like the like, I'm just a corner. I don't know what to do. The world's scary. You just got to lash out.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not like that
Sounds
either.
like an actor's life for me.
That's
I don't know.
it's not a life for anybody. No one deserves this.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Nick,
Thanks for having me.
for joining me on this show. Where can everyone that's in the waiting room / chat find
You
you?
can find me on Twitter at Nicholas Clark with 3 A's in the Clark, which I know is probably not the most marketable Twitter handle, but that's where we're at. That's where we're at.
That's where we're at. When
And
you
it's
make
not.
a decision, you
It's when you
just
make a
have to
decision.
stick with it.
Yeah. And yeah, it's a robot. My Twitter name is actually Nicholas Clam. It's not Nicholas Clark. I had to change that for I forget why. Yeah, you can find me
And you
there.
just stuck with that.
You can, if you're ever around the Vermont Los Feliz area, I perform regularly out of Impro Studio, which is 1729 North Vermont Avenue. We do like narrative and genre improv up there. So I'm about to start a run of improvised Chekhov. You could come check one out from you remember our theater days? We studied Chekhov with Sharon Carnegie.
Yes.
So we do
The
a
best.
like a full-length 2-act improvised play in the style of Anton Chekhov. We wear
Wow.
costumes. We have set pieces.
Do
The
you
props
speak?
are. Oh yes, we speak. Oh no, do we speak in
Like,
Russian accents?
Yeah.
No, but the dialect it ends up being like a little. You end up just sort of not conjugating as many words. Like,
Okay.
but the Chekhov's language is fairly colloquial. It's not like they all they do.
So you don't modernize it.
We don't modernize it. No,
Okay.
we're set in the turn of the 19th century.
Wow, that's
we're
hard.
using samovars. Like we don't have cell phones. But as far as the language itself goes, there are other genres that impro does, like Shakespeare, where like they're
Mhm.
doing iambic pentameter whenever possible, that they're improvising, or they're and they just finished up a run of Sondheim, where they do
I'd
an
love
improvised
that.
musical with a full band. Yeah,
I need to
the
check
main
that out.
check that out.
That
Yeah,
would
and
be
Impro's
amazing.
main company is at the Broad. They have a residency this year at the Broad stage, so they're doing like short runs of a bunch of different genres. So you can check that out too at the Edith Broad in Santa Monica. And then Impro Studios where I'm at. So come check that out. Chekhov is on Saturdays and Sundays at 7:30 all through the month of October. All through the month of October. Whoops.
And
Oh boy.
Con Man
November and December.
is on iTunes
And Con
season
Man
2.
is on iTunes season 2.
So there you go.
Yeah.
You can find me all day, every day on Twitter at Miss Movies, and that's pretty much it. I don't think I have anything else on my plate lately. All right, thank you all for joining us. We
Thanks,
will see
Internet.
you next time. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.